First of all, I need some clarity on a few issues. Let's start with the Muslim registry controversy. What do you want there? What's your vision?
Well, it's very simple. When they come in from Syria, guest of President Obama, we shouldn't be taking any because we have no idea where they come from, who they are. They have no paperwork. There's no way of proving that their paperwork is correct. When they come in from Syria, I want them to be registered. They have to be registered. We have to watch them because we just don't know who they are. We don't know where they come from. We don't know if they're ISIS, and we don't know if they have evil intentions. So I want them registered.
All right, but they will be if they get papers to come here. ICE, Homeland Security, will know who they are, will know where they go. So what you want is a reality already, is it not?
No, what I want is I don't want them to come here. We shouldn't be taking anybody.
No.
We should do,
okay.
Well, you shouldn't do it because we have no idea. ICE, do you believe in ICE? Look what happened to Kate. You know Kate very well. What happened in, probably better than most, what happened in San Francisco and Jamil in Los Angeles and so many others.
I don't have any confidence they can vet them.
They won't vet them properly.
But if it were me and I were running as a Republican, instead of saying I don't want them, I would say I'll take some women and children, and they have to be properly vetted by the FBI, not Homeland Security, because we don't trust them. But I will take some women and children who are languishing in these camps. That puts a humane face on it and doesn't put us in danger. Wouldn't that be a smarter strategy?
Well, I'll tell you, you mean children like we took in Boston, the two brothers that did so much damage during the Boston Marathon. They were very young when they came here, and you see what happened to them. I wouldn't say they were the greatest guys in the world. They were radicalized.
All the terrorism that took place in Charleston was homegrown. You're never going to have a guarantee. You just want to put a face on the Republican Party that you're not just mean guys, and that's what the Democrats are trying to do to you.
Hey, Bill, I would do something much different, much different. I'd do a free zone, safe zone in Syria. I'd get other people and other countries to support us because, frankly, we can't keep putting up, well, like the Gulf states. You got to get them to put up because they're putting up nothing. The Gulf states have money. They're not taking anybody. They're not putting up much money. I'd have them. They have more money than anybody. We don't have any money. We're a debtor nation. We owe $19 trillion. This will cost us, when we take all of these people, and believe me, it doesn't stop at 10,000. This will cost us billions of dollars over a 10-year period, and we can't do it.
All right. Well, you and I have the same vision. We have the same vision about safe zones inside Syria. But I'm working through NATO. You haven't mentioned NATO. Why not?
I think NATO would be fine. I think it's great. I think it certainly makes it a little bit easier. You declare war, you go through NATO, but I would add a lot of countries, frankly, to the NATO group that we already have.
If you can persuade Saudi Arabia to pick up the tab here and there, that would be a good thing. And you think you could do that?
Well, it would be nice. I mean, they do have plenty of money, okay? It would be nice if they contributed. And by the way, so should many other countries contribute. But that way, they're in their country. I read a case where some people are sent to Minnesota. It was 10 degrees below zero. They go from Syria to Minnesota. Not exactly so great. They probably want to be there. You do a safe zone.
Well, it doesn't matter what they want.
You do a free zone.
If you have a safe zone in their own country, they stay there. It doesn't matter what they want. Okay. Are you aware?
It's a much better idea, and certainly better for us.
Are you aware that the liberal media and the Democratic Party in general are trying to paint you as a racist? Are you aware of that?
I think so, but I think people know better than that. I'm probably the least racist person on earth.
Well, I've known you a long time, and I never saw any racism from you. However, when you tweet out a thing, and this bothered me, I got to tell you, you tweeted out that whites killed by blacks, these were statistics you picked up from somewhere, at a rate of 81%. And that's totally wrong. Whites killed by blacks is 15%. Yet you tweeted it was 81%. Now,
Bill, I didn't tweet. I retweeted somebody that was supposedly an expert,
but you don't
and it was also a radio show.
Why do you want to be in that zone?
Hey, Bill, am I going to check every statistic? I've got millions and millions of people.
You got it. You're a presidential contender. You got to check it.
I have millions of people. You know what? Fine. But this came out of radio shows and everything else.
Oh, come on,
All
radio
it was a
shows?
retweet. I didn't say. Excuse me. All it was is a retweet. It wasn't from me, and it did. It came out of a radio show and other places because you see all the names.
Look, you know I'm looking out for you, right? You know that? Yeah, I'm looking out for you. I look out for every honest politician. I don't care what party they're in. Don't do this. Don't put your name on stuff like this because it makes the other side, it gives them stuff to tell the ill-informed voter that you're a racist. I mean, you just hand them the platter.
This was a retweet. I'm sure you're looking out for me. Everybody is, right?
Yeah.
This was a retweet. This was a retweet.
All right, whatever it is.
And it
I
came
told
from
you
sources that are
ever.
very credible.
You shouldn't be tweeting. Don't tweet. Give it up for Lent. Lent is coming soon.
Okay,
Give it up. All right, final question.
You know what? I like it. Can I tell you what? I like it because I can get also my point of view out there, and my point of view is very important to a lot of people that are looking at me. And as far as what they've done in terms of me, you just had a poll. Wait a minute. You just had a poll, and going even against Hillary, I win easily. I think you can see that. It was in a Fox poll that just came out.
Well, your favorite guy, Karl Rove, has that poll 2 segments away, or even, I don't know. 2 segments away, and we have all the numbers. Final question.
Well, let me just tell you something. Wait a minute. Let me just tell you something. Karl Rove spent over $400 million trying to win races for the Republicans. $400 million, he didn't win a race.
Why don't you try to win him over?
Karl Rove shouldn't even be on your program.
Why don't you try to win him over?
I don't want to win him over. I don't want to win him. He fought for so many people and lost every single one. I don't have to win him over. I don't want to win him over. Not after what he says about me. He's totally biased. Shouldn't even be on your show.
But we have the poll numbers, and they can't be biased because they're just straight numbers. I wanted to talk to you about NATO.
Who's leading in the poll? Bill, who is leading? Bill. Who's leading in the poll?
You.
All right, good.
Donald
I think Karl Rove
Trump.
thinks Mitt Romney's still leading in the poll. Okay, good. I am leading. That's true.
You are leading in the poll.
Good.
All right, you also have a book out.
Explain that to Karl Rove.
Crippled America, right? It's doing pretty well, the book.
All right.
Anything else you want me to do?
It's doing very well. Crippled America.
Anything else you want me to do?
Nothing else. Just be fair. Just be fair.
Always fair?
All I ask is fairness, level playing field.
I am Mr. Fairness. You're looking at him right here.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
All right, we always appreciate you coming on, Donald. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The real story about Syrian refugees, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Because of politics, you are not being told the true story about the Syrian refugee situation. The Democratic Party wants the world to believe Republicans are mean-spirited and anti-immigrant. Republican Party wants the world to believe Democrats are soft on terrorism and sympathize more with Muslims than other people. So let's get to the truth of the matter. According to a recent ABC News poll, 54% of Americans oppose taking in Syrian refugees even after they've been screened for security. 43% of Americans are okay with admitting those refugees. Now, the reason most Americans do not want to accept Muslim refugees is not based on ethnicity or religion. It is based on security. The cold truth is the majority of Americans have no confidence at all that the Obama administration can protect them from harm. That's the crux of the matter, that President Obama and the Democratic Party are so liberal, so frightened, and so chaotic, they cannot provide security for we the people. Talking Points believes the majority of Americans firmly believe that. And my opinion is based on fact. The southern border of the United States is still insecure. According to Border Patrol statistics, nearly 5,000 unaccompanied children were apprehended in October alone trying to cross the border illegally. In the first half of November, 3,000 more were caught. That is a record number for that period of time. Again, highlights the fact that the southern border remains porous. So after 7 years, the Obama administration has not been able to secure the southern border despite the deadly terror threat facing America. Want more? Here we go. According to a document obtained by the Center for Immigration Studies, the Department of Homeland Security freed 36,000 convicted criminal aliens in the year 2013. Among those 36,000 freed, 193 had homicide convictions, 426 sexual assault convictions, 1,075 aggravated assault convictions, more than 9,000 convicted of dealing dangerous drugs. All told, the 36,000 criminal aliens freed by ICE had 88,000 criminal convictions in the USA, 88,000. and they let them go. That's simply disgraceful, a danger to all of us, and is directly on the President of the United States, who could not care less. Instead, Barack Obama chastises the Republican Party and others who oppose allowing Syrian refugees into the country.
Apparently, they're scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America as part of our tradition of compassion. Now, first they were worried about the press being too tough on them during debates. Now they're worried about 3-year-old orphans. That doesn't sound very tough to me.
What President Obama does not understand is that he has lost all credibility in matters of security. Allowing 10,000 Syrians into America would not endanger us any more than we are already endangered. The bad guys are already here, waiting to do their damage. 10,000 Syrians languishing in refugee camps overseas, not really the issue. The signal being sent to the president is, we don't trust you to protect us. So no more generosity to overseas visitors. That's the deal. Talking points would allow certain Syrian refugees to come here, but I'm simply appalled by what is happening in Washington. The Democratic Party completely ineffective in fighting terrorism.
We are prepared to defeat ISIS by any definition. The president has engaged with more than 65 other countries to defeat ISIS. The president knows better than any of us the threat that they pose to the security of the world and to the American people. So I have confidence in the president's take on what is out there.
Congresswoman Pelosi is an intellectual zombie. No sane person could think Americans' policy toward ISIS has been effective. No sane person could put forth that 65 countries are united to defeat ISIS. It is a myth, a dangerous deceit. But that is what the leadership of the Democratic Party is saying. When you have a man like Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid blocking a bill that would require a mandatory 5-year federal prison term for any convicted foreign aggravated felon who defies deportation, gets sent away, comes back. When you have Harry Reid saying no to that law, you have anarchy. The fact that President Obama and the Democratic Party will not support Kate's law says it all. Again, these people are not interested in protecting us from harm, and the folks know it. When asked in the Fox poll to describe the Obama administration's policy on ISIS, 65% say it's not aggressive enough, 26% about right, 4% too aggressive. They all live with Bernie Sanders. Therefore, you would think the Republican Party would be in a superior position to defeat Hillary Clinton in 2016. You would think. But Republicans must convince the majority of Americans, not people like themselves, that they are reasonable. And all of this talk about religion, Christians versus Muslim, registries, all of that is counterproductive for the GOP. What Americans want is security, not demonization. The Republican Party should understand that liberals will attempt to paint them as extremists, as sons of Joseph McCarthy. And that kind of marginalization can work, especially in minority communities. So if the Republicans want to win and actually protect the country, they have to be very precise in their language, very strong in saying exactly how they defeat ISIS, how they'd secure the border, and how they would deal with illegal alien criminals. Keep it simple, keep it clear, use the facts to promote your case. According to all the polls, Americans well understand how weak President Obama is in foreign affairs. They know the USA is no longer considered an effective force against evil. The folks get it, yet many still fear the other side, the Republican side. And if the GOP candidates do not allay some of those fears, Hillary Clinton and her party will be very happy come Election Day. And that's a memo.
In the Impact segment tonight, President Obama's ISIS policy under siege. Remember that just a day before the Paris attack, President Obama told ABC News that ISIS was, quote, contained. Republicans have slammed the president for those remarks, but Democrats, they defended him.
Last week, President Obama said ISIS was contained. Was he right when he said that?
We are prepared to defeat ISIS by any definition. The president has engaged with more than 65 other countries to defeat ISIS. The president knows better than any of us the threat that they pose to the security of the world and to the American people. So I have confidence in the president's take on what is out there.
Of course, this is the same president who called ISIS the JV team back in January 2014. Within months, they had taken over a third of territory in both Iraq and Syria. Hillary Clinton was asked about that this week.
Do you believe that President Obama underestimated ISIS when he called it the JV team?
Look, I don't think it's useful to go back and replow old ground.
Just say yes. Joining us now for reaction, Nomiki Konst, the Democratic strategist, and from Washington, Rebecca Heinrichs, a fellow at the Hudson Institute. So, Rebecca, Democrats keep having to defend the president's comments about ISIS. Is that going to be a liability on the campaign trail?
Of course it will. And the answer, of course, is yes, the president underestimated ISIS. He continues to underestimate ISIS. And until Hillary Clinton is even willing to use the words Muslim extremist or that these are radical Islamists, she won't even identify who it is we're at war with. And until we get around to being able to use these words properly and identify the enemy, I don't know how anybody can expect them to defeat them and ultimately kill them.
Nomiki, what is the risk of saying the president was wrong?
Because he wasn't wrong. I think if you actually listen to the full speech from a week ago, if you listen to the full speech, he was talking about containment within Iraq and Syria. He's talking about cutting off the head of ISIS. You know, the time
Are they contained?
They're more contained than they've ever been. Listen, I mean, if you go back to pre-Obama policy, more than they've ever been.
That's just not even
militarily, so they are not making progress.
Spin, right? Don't spin this.
I'm not spinning.
They're spreading.
So, but they're not spreading as of last week. When you look at military, when you look at the troops on the ground there, they're being attacked militarily. They're being attacked, listen, Honduras. They caught those guys in Honduras, right? At the border of Honduras. That wouldn't have been possible if America wasn't sharing their intelligence across the world. It is America's amping up of intelligence. It's America's amping up of national security and internet security.
I'm not really sure how our intelligence shared with the rest of the world caught 5 Syrian fighters that wanted to come across the border in Honduras. Rebecca, what about it? What about a Democrat or what about anyone just coming out and saying, enough. We were wrong. Fix it, President Obama. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, what's in it for her to back the president in this failed strategy?
Yeah, what the American people want, they want people to speak clearly, to not treat them like children, to not demagogue them if they disagree with their positions, but to just explain things to them and let them know what's going on. That's how you gain the confidence of the American people.
So why aren't the Republicans doing that, Rebecca? This is an issue here.
What ISIS is doing is trying to establish the Islamic Caliphate, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're establishing the Islamic Caliphate by spreading territory and maintaining, and they're actually establishing a government. ISIS is now able to distribute goods.
Hold on.
And so,
you're pointing out refugees. I think 47 Democrats just voted with Republicans and saying enough, at least slow down the Syrian refugee policy or make it much more harsh. What about that?
You know what? Here's an area where I am just as mad at Democrats as you are. Those 47 Democrats, from Representative Sinema to Representative Murphy, are more interested in voting along with Trey Gowdy, an extremist Republican, than with fellow Democrats and standing for leadership.
So how about voting the right way? How about they're concerned about the safety of American people and they voted the way they felt?
So many years, 1939, we had a boatload of Jewish refugees coming to America. There was a poll that came out a few weeks before saying 50% of Americans didn't want those refugees. Guess what? We pushed that boat back, and what happened? A quarter of those Jewish refugees were sent into the Holocaust and died. We don't rule by polls. We rule by leadership.
So, I keep hearing this over and over and over. 1939, 1942. We got it. We understand what you're doing here. ISIS wasn't around then. 53%, Rebecca, of Americans say stop all Syrian refugees right now.
I find it really interesting that my colleague is able to use the words Republican extremists, but she finds it impossible to use the words Islamic extremists.
She's got a point.
You've got the American people here, what they're afraid of. They're not afraid. The president wants to demagogue those who disagree with him who are afraid. He says that the Republicans are afraid of widows and orphans, but they're not. They're afraid of their neighbors becoming widows and orphans. That's the problem.
But the refugees are overwhelmingly widows and orphans. Only 2% are males under 24.
This is what I'm trying to explain to you. I don't necessarily necessarily even disagree with you. The problem is the president isn't even trying to persuade. The whole point of being president of the United States and operating in a democratic system, which we have, is to persuade those who disagree with you. Instead, he mocks and he ridicules and he demagogues.
All right,
and so who can blame the Republicans?
Let me try and persuade Nomiki a little bit. Are these killers, ISIS in Mali today, the other ones in Al-Qaeda, are they radical?
Absolutely.
Are they Islamists?
Some are, and some are just radicals in the community. They're using Islam in the name of terrorism. How are you not able to see that
they are radical Islamists?
No, they're using Islam in the name of terrorism. They are radicalizing.
They're radical in the name of Islam.
In the name of Islam, but that's not Islam. Islam is a peaceful religion.
Love you. Nomiki, got to go. And Rebecca?